Good morning, everybody. It's Sunday, and yesterday I hosted a little get together with two of my friends and Matt. And what I did was I cooked everyone dinner and dessert based on foods from some of my favorite books. So I chose 4 books. They're sitting next to me. That had mentions of food. And then starting around 4 p.m. yesterday, I was in the kitchen and just cooking mostly from scratch dinner for everyone. I ran out of time to film the intro before the cooking had to start. So you're getting future Mackenzie for this introduction. Before we go back to the kitchen, I'll just introduce the books and what dish they correlate to. But I can't start with this one because this one's actually dessert. So he needs to go to the bottom of the pile. Let's start with The Hobbit. Now, if you're going to make dinner for some friends and you need food, go to The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit because they're told by hobbits, and hobbits love food. Like, let's be real. I'm probably a hobbit. Everyone wants to be like an elf or a wizard, but at the end of the day, I'm just a girl who likes second breakfast. So from The Hobbit, when all the dwarves come over, they talk about all the food that's being eaten, and from this we pulled the salad because I really like a little bit of green, a little bit of healthiness in what we're eating. And when you're cooking for other people, I feel like it's nice to have a variety of options. So from The Hobbit, we're going to chop up a salad. And then for our main course, it comes from the Glimmer Falls universe. There are a couple mentions of this type of food throughout the series, so I just grabbed the first book to represent it. What we did was spaghetti with sauce and meatballs. In the series, it talks about how the meat sauce for the spaghetti and the meatballs are extra bloody for like the vampires in town. So I think it actually primarily happens in the third book, but I'm pretty sure there's mentions in the first and second book as well. So that's our main course. Our side comes from The Lord of the Rings, and that is biscuits. I've never made biscuits before, so this was quite an experience, and honestly, easier than I thought it was going to be. And then last, but certainly not least, honestly, probably best. Hi, Hades. You gonna join us? Yeah? I swear, he gets away with murder. They're not supposed to be allowed on the table. But he's so cute, and he then influences his siblings. He is the spoiled third child. As I was saying, dessert comes from Percy Jackson. Did anyone else call this? My love for Percy Jackson will just never go away. And so for dessert, bye Hades. For dessert, I made some blue chocolate chip cookies. My favorite cookie recipe is an overnight dough, but that also is a peanut butter chocolate chip cookie. And so I just found a drop cookie recipe, and I use that because you could just do it from start to finish one day, and it didn't take too long. So now that you have the backdrop and a sneak peek of what was made, let's go to the kitchen. How did you enjoy all of that cooking footage? Or maybe not a lot of it. I don't know. I haven't looked at the footage yet, but I really did my best to get you guys a little sneak peek into the cooking process that went behind making my friends and my husband dinner. And I thought maybe before we kind of like do the closeout of the video, and like throw in what everyone else thought was their favorite and least favorite dish, I would tell you how I kind of did this because it was a lot of work. I feel like this is going to be a short vlog and there was a lot of work behind it, but it was so much fun. I enjoy cooking. I feel like I'm better at baking. So all I did is I found some recipes and then I worked backwards and created a timeline. And it's like, all right, if we want the main dish cooked last, it needs to be cooking and done by this point, and it needs this long. And then I was like, okay, what can be done at the same time? And I just built my schedule backwards. And I ended up actually cooking the cookies first because the cookies are fine. Once they're out of the oven, they're good. um, and then I moved forward to biscuits, and I ended up just putting the biscuits and the meatballs in the lower temperature while the rest of the food was finishing cooking so that they would stay warm. But where I got my recipes from were How to Bake Everything. One of my best friends is a professional baker. Like she works with a chocolatier. Her life is a Hallmark movie. It's pretty cool. um, but yeah, she got this for me when I started dabbling in baking, and she's like, "This is everything that you need to know, quite literally, how to bake everything." And so from here, I got the drop chocolate chip cookie recipe. And all I did different from the recipe was add in some blue food dye to get the color blue into the cookies. And then I also got the biscuit recipe from here. And when I tell you, this was like surprisingly easy. I don't think I'll ever have to buy biscuits again. That's not true. There are some rolls that I have not mastered, many rolls that I have not mastered. But biscuits, I know how to do it now. And then the meatball recipe, the boiled potatoes. Wait, before I even get to the meatballs, the boiled potatoes. I didn't have a recipe for that. I just got some Yukon Gold potatoes, peeled them, chopped them up, and boiled them. Oh my goodness, I missed Pride and Prejudice in my little intro. 1 second. Jane Austen, please forgive me. I also made boiled potatoes for one of the sides. If you've seen the 2005 Pride and Prejudice, I hope you all have in your mind, what excellent boiled potatoes. To which of my fine cousins do I need to compliment? And Mrs. Bennet going like, bro, the household can support a cook. Like, what? um, so I also had, aside from Pride and Prejudice, I didn't have a recipe for that. Just boiled some potatoes. And then I had some seasonings off to the side so that people could season their boiled potatoes. They were pretty good. I liked them. I digress. For the meatballs, when Matt and I got married for our guest book, we ended up creating our own cookbook. I don't know if you know this, but you can actually print your own book through Barnes& Noble. And you just have to choose like if you're printing it just for self-use or if you're printing it to sell. I think maybe that changes the ISB that is given with it. I'm not entirely sure, but you have to choose that. And so we took like our 25 favorite recipes and made this super tiny book. The cover is from our elopement ceremony because we got legally married before we had the big party. And we have the meatball recipe in this. So yeah, that's actually just super convenient to have all of our favorite recipes in one very tiny cookbook. Yeah, so those are the recipes that I used.
My name's Haley, and I'm Mackenzie's bestie. And I ate all of the wonderful food, and it was delicious. And my absolute favorite thing that I had was the meatless meatballs, because I've never had meatless meatballs, and I like being adventurous. And that was from this book, which I haven't read, but I guess I need to now. And my least favorite, I really love salad, but I really hate onions. So my least favorite was the salad because it had onions, but that was a Hobbit reference. So everything was delicious.
Hi, I'm Matt. I'm Mackenzie's husband, and my favorite dish of the evening was the meatless meatballs, as found in A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon. The reason they were my favorite was because I already am such a big fan of meatballs in general whenever I have pasta, and Mackenzie's been getting me on sometimes having the meatless versions when, like, if I ever run out and I just really want some to kind of go with the pasta. And when I've had it, I've noticed that, like, really, as far as taste wise, it's different, but in some ways it's like just as good as like a normal meat version of a meatball, if that makes sense. It's just kind of like a different taste, and I honestly kind of like it. So if I ever have to have any of them, I'm really not sad. And tonight, these were kind of more of the same. The mixture of all the onions and the different spices. Really kind of like it turned out really well. Honestly, whenever we make homemade meatballs, her meatless ones turn out usually better than my meat ones do. They hold their form a lot easier. So they were definitely a delight and such a big favorite. I had 3 of them tonight. Had I not had so much of the other dishes, I probably could have had a lot more of them and probably could have made just a whole meal out of meatless meatballs.
Hey guys, it's producer Brandy. So, of tonight's meal, I think my favorite item was the biscuits, which comes from Lord of the Rings. And then for my least favorite, it's gonna be the salad. I'm not a salad girly, unfortunately, but that one was from The Hobbit. But as we can see, Nike here agrees with me. Lord of the Rings, the biscuits, that was her favorite as well. But Mackenzie's a great chef, so we love her for all of her good food.
And since I made everyone else tell me their favorite and least favorite dish, except for Matt, if you notice, he didn't say his least favorite dish because he said that he liked everything, which is very sweet of him. But I would think my favorite dish that I made was probably the biscuits. They were like super simple and they looked definitely homemade in my opinion, but I think maybe I liked them the best because I've never made that before. I've cooked pasta before, I've made pasta sauce before, I've made the meatballs before. Literally everything I've made before. The cookie recipe was a new recipe, but cookies want to work with you. So, for the biscuits, I'd never done before. I was super nervous about them. And when they turned out as actual biscuits, I was so proud of myself. So, the biscuits are my favorite meal of the night, or part of the meal, and that came from the Lord of the Rings. And then my least favorite, probably the spaghetti, just because you can zhuzh it up all you want, but at the end of the day, it's still just spaghetti. Tasty spaghetti, but just spaghetti. And that's it for our short little cooking video. Yeah. Thank you all for watching. I hope you had fun. Please don't judge my cooking outfit. It was just so that I could be cozy while in the kitchen. But yeah, thank you all for watching to this point in the video. And if you want to see more cooking based off of books, let me know. And maybe we'll do more of these because this was so much fun. I thought this was going to be a super big production, and I definitely learned from it, but it was a lot of fun. So until next time, bye.